In this video, we will technically analyze Nasdaq 100 from the monthly chart all the way to the H4 chart and maybe the H1 chart as well. And so guys, let's not waste any further time and get straight into the actual technical analysis. And I just wanted to show you guys some of the components that we had spoken about previously, a couple of months ago that is. And we had mentioned previously that the market at this point over here had given us that candlestick, and you guys know that it's a liquidity candlestick, and it tells us that in the future the market will head down to this level to grab that liquidity, because that bearish candlestick with a small body and quite a long lower wick is carrying a lot of liquidity at that point. To add to this, the market had also given us what is, if I can just draw it, what is an overextended W structure over here, or double bottom, which has a neckline at that point. And you guys know that whenever we have these structures, a lot of traders and investors buy on the second leg of that structure, and they place their stop losses just below. So we have a lot of money stuck here in the form of stop losses, as well as that candlestick that's carrying all of that liquidity, right? So in the future, we will see price definitely come back to this level to grab all of that liquidity, because liquidity is actually money that needs to be triggered by the market at one point or another. To add to this, remember also that as much as we had a W formation over here, we also had one over here, and similarly we know that a lot of traders and investors actually bought at that point, placing their stop losses just below. So you guys can see that there is plenty of scope for price in the future to come back to all of these levels to trigger all of those liquidity points. As I said, that those liquidity points are actually money, and that money needs to be triggered by the market at one point or another. But anyway, let's just zoom in and see what's happening on the monthly chart. On the monthly chart, guys, similar to the weekly chart, we have what seems to be, as I said, a nice double bottom or W structure over there, which has a neckline at that point, right? And because this W structure or double bottom started at that point, ideally we want to see price continue to move further up to around that level, to close, as I always say, in line with where it had started, right? So at this point in time, based on the monthly chart, we should just be looking for buy opportunities, and the anticipation is for the market to reach that point to actually complete that structure. To add to that, if you guys were to pay attention to this area over here, you would see that in that area we have what is a bullish candlestick with a small body and quite a long upper wick. And similar to this candlestick over here, this candlestick is also carrying a lot of liquidity, and it tells us that we have plenty of scope for price to actually move further up to that level to trigger that liquidity. Anyway, what else do we see in regards to the monthly chart? At this point, I don't see much. What I will do is head down to the weekly chart. Just bear with me while I do so. Let's have a look, weekly chart. And here we are on the weekly chart. If I can just zoom out, remember guys that on the monthly chart we spoke about how the market had given us this W formation or double bottom, and we said that we want to see price actually move further up to around that level to close more or less in line with where it had started. And I said also to you guys that for the most part we should be looking for potential buy opportunities, right? Another thing that I also want to bring to attention is that the market had given us an M structure over there, which tells us that just like with this W formation where a lot of traders and investors bought at this point and placed their stop losses below, we had a lot of traders and investors as well selling at that level, placing their stop losses below. So guys, what I'm doing right now is showing you reasons for why I believe that we're gonna see price actually move that up to that level. Remember, I spoke about how on the monthly chart we have that candlestick, that bullish candlestick that's carrying all of that liquidity at the top, right? And I said that that candlestick is actually carrying a lot of money, right? Number two, guys, remember we also have this, right, which is an M structure, and I said to you guys that a lot of traders and investors actually sell on the second leg and place their stop losses at that level. Number three, remember guys, we also have this, right, W formation. It started at that level, and ideally we want to see price move further up to close more or less in line with the way it started, right? That's why for the most part I'm saying that we should be looking for potential buy opportunities, as it's quite likely that we're going to see price actually reach that level, right? Anyway, here we are on the weekly chart. What else do we see on the weekly chart that we should be paying attention to? On the weekly chart we can see that the market have given us another W formation here, which also has a neckline at that point, right? Anyway, let's zoom in a bit and see what's happening down there. And another thing that I also want to mention is that we actually have an opposing structure. We have opposing structures, right? Number one, we have a W structure over here, with a neckline at that point. And number two, we have an overextended M structure over here, right, which also has a neckline at that point. And what this tells us is that buying or selling within this region based on the weekly chart is a bit risky. But due to those reasons that I gave you guys, I would say that for the most part, we should stick to what I said, that we should look for potential buy opportunities, right? Another thing that I want to show you is that, guys, remember when we have W structures, people buy here and place their stop losses below. So it is also quite possible that we may see price actually move further down to that level to grab that liquidity and then move further up, right? Anyway, what else do we see in regards to the weekly chart? At this point, I don't see much, but I'm gonna do is head down to the daily chart and let's see what's happening down there on the daily chart.